Hey y'all, I just wanted to show you that there is really a porch under all that mess. We've got most of it put away. These two pieces need to go to the back porch. I think he said he's going to give the smoker to Aaron because he's just gotten to where he doesn't use it very much. And so the grill needs to go to the back porch. Do you hear Ferdinand? He's making a lot of noise. Tomorrow will be the washing of the house, getting all this grime and mold and everything off, scrubbing the porch, pulling out all of the little nails and such that were holding the railings, the spindles up. And then on Saturday, we're painting. And we're having a painting party. I'm going to call it that. Watch the cats. What are you guys doing? Wish I'd caught that on camera. That was really cute. They were having their little bounce around and play moment. But anyway, Chelsea will be here to paint. And her friend will be here to paint. And I will be here to paint. And Hugh will probably be building the new steps over there. The ramp is going to take a little bit longer because we have decided that we're going to go ahead and pull out this flower bed on this side. And yeah, I hate to have it go away, but I think it's just going to be, and we haven't decided that for absolute certain yet. So, but the ramp will come down all the way to this other side of the yarrow. And there's a possibility that we could incorporate the little wall into it, but you can see the wall's all to pieces. It's just, over the years, it has frozen and busted and frozen and busted, and I think that it could serve a better purpose somewhere else. And then the ramp could come down just to right there. But anyway, let's take a little walk. So, this ended up being all of the, and well, part of that's our blocking supplies. And this was in the little metal building, and one of the chickens had apparently, decided that was a good place for her to lay an egg. But that was before we had gotten them all contained in their little enclosure. So, but this ended up being all of the ones that had a lid and a base. So they're going to get washed and then dried well. And then over here we have some supplies that need to be washed off and dipped in. I will usually use just a teeny tiny bit of bleach and water just to disinfect everything, make sure we don't have any bacteria or anything that would damage our plants when we get them started. But check this out. That's all going to the recycle center. Yay. All that stuff took up a whole lot of space in the basement, so that makes me happy. And there's one more I've got to find a lid for before those go away. There's tucks, high tucks, and all these rugs are going to get blasted with I keep calling it the squirty thing, the water squirty thing, whatever thing, the pressure washer. So the pressure washer will be coming out in the morning, scrubbing the house, scrubbing the porch, scrubbing the rugs, and I may even scrub my metal chairs, those two metal chairs, and then the metal what is it called? The little glider, because they really need to be, the paint needs to be touched up on them. They're very old, and well, they're very old in some respects. My mother-in-law bought those for us years and years ago when we first moved to Canton. So that would have been about 25 years or so ago. But when we first moved to Canton the last time, we've lived in Canton twice. But I want to take you down to the garden real quick, of course. Y'all are used to this. I'm sorry. I just keep dragging you around all these gardens. But yes, and look how pretty. The snapdragons are just beautiful. And they're coming along nicely. Hey, look here. We have a nigella. I didn't know I had even planted any nigella over here. But I did. Yay! We have nigella blooming. There's no telling what's going to come up. I'll be finding stuff for the next month or so, probably, as they bloom. But let's make a stop right here. See, that's getting ready to be trimmed because I do not let the wisteria go nuts. It's going to be trimmed back. These are still plants. I don't know why I had that so big. These are still plants that need to go in the garden. And these are the plants that we've put out here to start hardening off. And they're still a little tiny, but they do okay. Oh, there's Huey's fuel and oil and whatever buckets. They're always somewhere. Yeah, we've got an oil spill. It's not as much as it looks. It looks bad, but it's basically just washed off. This just mess needs to be cleaned up. It's just on my nerve. But when you work around mechanics, those things just happen. Frustrating, irritating, and sometimes even a little angering, but oh well. Deal with it, Patty, right? He doesn't do it on purpose. It just seems to happen to him. All right, I wanted you to see how nice the field looks today. Chelsea came up here with the weed eater this morning, and she weed eated the paths, and she mowed the paths, and it just looks very lovely. This is just nice. We actually look like cut flower farmers, y'all. Hot dog. All these little cosmos that are blooming are way too short for a bouquet, so we got to come down and just snip them down at the base, and they will continue getting taller and taller and taller till it won't be long before they'll all be tall enough so you get to see these over here, how tall they're getting. They're up above the neck quite a bit, but that's what they will do. Yay. And look at this path. Is that not just gorgeous? Yay. And the really nice thing about the living pathways like this is that you don't slide all over the place in the mud. And yes, it did knock a little bit of grass up around these things, but the flowers themselves look fine. Didn't hurt anything. We probably need to get a guard for our weed eater, which we will do. And the very first zinnia, and it's a teeny tiny little thing, but it's pretty. And then all these zinnias, you can see that they're beginning to come up through the netting. The netting itself comes up to about my knee, so I'm expecting, what is it, about 18 inches? I'm expecting it's about 18 inches, so everything is growing quickly, so quickly. And then these marigolds, look how tall they're getting. Very nice. And they do have little blooms happening. Yay. And they're coming up through the netting. I really got all this out too early. I could have waited another 3 weeks and everything probably would have been as big as it is now. But that is one of those mistakes that I'm beginning to understand that a lot of people make their first year or two flower farming because they get anxious. And we had such a warm March. Wasn't paying so much attention to the date, just the weather. And these are azuratum, and I saw an azuratum bloom earlier this week. Where'd you go, baby? Well, I'm not seeing it now. It's in there somewhere. But the azuratum are looking nice as well. And over here, this is basil. The basil's a little short. It's a filler flower. But it will continue. You can see these up here that get a little bit more sun than these down here. They're a little taller. But yeah, let's walk on around here, and you'll see Chelsea and I had to, I've told you earlier in the week, we had to rescue the sunflowers. They got blown down. Part of them got blown down in the storm we had last week. And you can see our little cosmos that we set out yesterday are standing up nice and tall. They look happy mostly. Might need to water them again tomorrow. But, and the Gumfrina are finally beginning to look like they're going to grow, but they still look sad. And see all the mud on them? We've got to figure out what we're going to... We don't want to use just the plastic. The plastic does protect them from all the mud splashing. We're thinking, and y'all let me know if any of you have any experience with this, but we're thinking that since we have all of the wood, tiny wood chips from the sawmill, that we might use the very last bin of the big compost house and put them in there for 6 months, because you're not really supposed to use anything fresh from a cut from cutting trees. You're not supposed to use any of that because of a nitrogen issue. But if we can leave that aside for maybe 6 months or more, then we can use it kind of as a mulch around our plants, just to protect from the mud splash. And it typically wouldn't do that, but it rained so very, very hard. So that shouldn't be a problem all the time, but it is a problem right now. Now this little section of the bed is where I told you we had a groundhog eating. But the nice thing is that it looks like the groundhog really didn't hurt the buds themselves. And there's fresh leaves coming up around the buds. So I think they're going to be usable. Because when you cut a sunflower, you strip all of the leaves anyway, except for the leaves right around the bloom. Maybe 2-3 leaves at the most. So, and then from here on down, we have the fresh, or the sunflowers that didn't get damaged, except they did get blown down. Like I said, they got blown down, about maybe 20% of them. So Chelsea and I came through, and we stood them up, and we pressed the ground in firm around the roots, and we put in these wire fence stakes. This is for a hot wire, and then we used baler twine and wrapped it around them, just as, you know, a little protection if the wind gets crazy again. Maybe it'll help them a little bit, but it's not, you know, as protective as the netting that we have over there. But it's at least something. So if this spring, if what we've had already is anything to judge by for our weather issues this year, it could be kind of an interesting weather year. And I know some of y'all in Texas and Oklahoma, y'all, I hope that you're okay. It just hurts my heart that anybody's having to deal with these weather extremes. But so I feel even foolish just complaining about the little bit of problems that we've had compared to what some of y'all have had. I just hope that this will not be just any kind of indicative of things to come. You can see that yellow sun is beginning to open. And here's another with a little pop of color. So the suns, I'm thinking, y'all, that we may have, by next week, that we may have at least sunflower bouquets to take somewhere. But to one of our marketplaces. But we started some seed earlier in this week, and yesterday we decided, well, we'll uncover them so that the sun will help warm the ground up a little bit. So we did. That whole row is almost all sunflowers, just different sizes of them, different successions. And this is zinnia. And you know what? Our cattle did get in here. Doggone it. Thankfully, it doesn't look like they just came through this one end. Our cattle got out earlier. Hugh and I were at the market, and our neighbor called and said, "Y'all have cattle out. I'm containing them until you get home." So Hugh and I left Chelsea at the market, and we jumped in the car, came home, and what they had done, we looked around to see if we found broken fence anywhere. There was no broken fence. They had shaken the gate in the back of the barn open and had came through to the front of the barn and into this upper section where Hugh has it hot wired off. They're on the other side of the hot wire, thankfully. But we have really got to get the permanent fence built over there where John and Hugh put in a road for me. Because obviously they did find the field up here. I'm just thankfully that it's no worse than this. It looks like they didn't come down any further. Good gravy. Y'all, the detriments of having cattle. Oh well. But anyway, these zinnia all look good. So we didn't lose tons and tons. We lost where they definitely stepped on them. But there's still some interspersed in and around. But what I was going to tell you about these sunflowers is that we had pulled the cloth off to let them have some heat from the sun, direct heat from the sun, and we didn't pull it back over them last night. So this morning when we came down here, you can see we've got little suns, but we're missing some. Come to find out, seems as though the crows found them. We're not missing tons, but we are missing probably a third of each row. I mean, average. Probably average. So we pulled the cloth back over them. The next, and direct sewing has turned out to be a good idea because that saves a lot of time. So we will do that with starting in the warm weather months. We will just go ahead and direct sow instead of pre-starting the seed. And here's some more celosia. And I weeded just barely, just kind of, sort of, not very well. Obviously, I got to get back in here. But this is salvia, and I'm not really certain it's going to survive anyway. I think I put it out in the wrong season. But you get conflicting information from the seed packs. Some say to start as early as the ground can be worked, and some say to set out after the last frost. So, who should I have listened to? Lisa Mason Ziegler. She's my hero. I should have listened to her. So, anyway, this row down here is empty yet. And the end of that row over there is empty yet. Let me cross over. And this is just called grass explosion or something explosion. Here's a little bit of more Gomphrena. Looks kind of sad. Over there's some Gomphrena. We're going to find a nice spot for the Gomphrena and baby the rest. Now, this was also direct sown. This whole little section right here, you can see it did pretty well. Not wonderfully well, but it did pretty well. I would be pleased with that for the time saving. This right here was done at the same time. So I suspect that the crows had also gotten in here. Crows are boogers, y'all. And I feed them well. I'm just saying. They eat over there half the time with my chickens and geese and ducks and peacock and guinea. So I end up feeding a lot of the ferment that we use, or that we feed. And we ferment oats and corn, crushed corn or cracked corn, and black oil sunflower seed. So they get all of that over there because they dine with the chickens and ducks and geese and all that. But apparently they thought that they needed to come over here and investigate and find out what's in this field as well. And boogers. We're going to be in trouble. But anyway. Yeah, these little beds down here are struggling a little bit. And I don't know if they're going to make it or not. This is, down here, this is the Monarda, or bee balm. And it's a beautiful plant. But, there again, I think I might have put it out in the wrong time of year. Got to research. I told Hugh, I said, I felt like I knew quite a bit about growing things. I've been growing things for years and years and years. But some of this just feels like you need to have a PhD. And I don't. I don't have a PhD in cut flowering. But maybe in another 5 years or so I will. Oh well. So we have that whole row yet to plan out, and the partial rows at the end of those other 2 rows over there. And starting, I think I'm seeing some cow prints up here as well. May as well go up here and look. Yep. Look at this. They walked through these little zinnias. Those crazy girls. It's not okay. Well, thankfully, they didn't damage too much. It could have been a whole lot worse than it is. A whole lot worse. So I'm not going to fuss about it much. But I'm going to get Mr. Best to help me this next week to get the hard fence up. So this will not be a playground for them any longer. Good gravy. Oh well. That's one of those it is what it is moments, right? But Chelsea mowed the whole field. And I think it looks so pretty. Isn't that just gorgeous? I cannot wait until it's full of color. But, all right, y'all. Just thought I'd show you that, progress is being made. Sometimes it feels like it's happening really slowly, even though it feels like we're working 24/7 sometimes, which we're not. We're not. We're really getting plenty of rest. But I appreciate y'all keeping up with us. And I will keep y'all up to date on what's happening here. I don't know that I'll put anything out tomorrow. It's going to be an uber busy day, getting the house scrubbed and all that. Look at the little daisies down there. But I will definitely catch up Saturday and show you what the house looks like clean and the porch painted. Yay! Hot dog, yay. All right. Love y'all much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.